Okay, look, it seems as though Conor McGregor has retired again for the third time. Thanks for the cheese. See yous all later. Remember when that was his first ever retirement, when he was getting angry that he wanted to fight Floyd Mayweather, and I think that was, yeah, he was getting angry that he wanted to fight Floyd Mayweather, but the UFC weren't having it. But anyway, look, the reason why I'm looking down is I just want to quickly read this. So just to bring you guys up to pace, he tweeted out last night saying that he had retired and saying to his mum that you can pick any house you want, it's yours, which is a very noble action for a son. But anyway, look, Ariel Helwani spoke to Conor McGregor, and I just want to read this bit out. He goes, they should have just kept the ball rolling. I mean, why are they pushing Khabib vs Justin back to September? You know what's going to happen in September? Something else is going to happen in September, and that's not going to happen. Basically saying something will stop the fight from happening in September. This is the bit that I found interesting. I laid out a plan and a method that was the right move, the right method to go with, and they always want to balk at that and not make it happen, or just drag it on. You know what? Let's start that all over again. I laid out a plan and a method that was the right move, the right method to go with, and they always want to balk at that and not make it happen, or just drag it on. Whatever I say they want to go against to show some kind of power. They should have just done the fight, me and Justin, for the interim title, and just kept the ball rolling. So it sounds like Conor McGregor wanted to fight Justin Gaethje for the interim title, and the winner would then go on and face Khabib later on this year. So it seems as though this retirement isn't a retirement because, you know what, I'm tired of training, I'm tired of this sparring, I'm tired of the grind, going to the gym every day, I'm tired of running, I'm tired of stepping into the octagon and fighting, I've got injuries, I'm hurting, I'm just not as good as I used to be, I think I should call it quits because I could get seriously hurt. Like, it's none of that. His reason for retiring is he's not happy with the options that are being given to him in terms of opponents. He's not happy with the fact that the guy that he wants to fight, Justin Gaethje, by the looks of things, is a guy that the UFC aren't willing to put him in there with until Justin Gaethje has fought Khabib. Now, Dana White was asked about this a couple of times last night during his press conference, and Brett Okamoto asked him about it. And I'm just not buying Dana White's response to all of this. Because Dana White basically said, who's he going to fight? Like, who is there for him to fight? And I kind of understand that, you know, because if the UFC have made an interim champion in terms of Justin Gaethje, and they want that interim champion to fight Khabib, and we're in June now, and they're saying September, July, August, like 2.5 months away. Do you know what I mean? It's not a massive amount of time to wait for that fight to happen. What we've got here is Conor McGregor preempting that won't happen in September. But I know best laid plans and all of that, but the UFC have a plan in place, and it's not like they're saying this fight is going to happen in June next year. So the whole division is on hold until June 2021. The thing that I'm struggling to believe, understand, agree with when it comes to what Dana White is saying isn't focused primarily around Conor McGregor and Conor McGregor saying that he's retiring. It's more around fighters in general retiring, because Dana White always says the same thing. Hey guys, you know, this is a dangerous game, and if as soon as a fighter starts talking about retiring, I think he or she should retire, because it means their heart's not totally in it, and that's when you get hurt. But these guys aren't talking about retiring, like I said, because of injuries, because their technical ability isn't where it used to be. They're not retiring because they're slowing down. They're not retiring because they just can't do the grind anymore. It seems as though Henry Cejudo retired because he just wasn't happy with the money he was earning. Conor McGregor has blatantly just told us here he's retiring because the game doesn't excite him the way it used to. He's retiring because he wanted to have this season that he was talking about. He's retiring because if he feels like the UFC are working against him. He says it here. Whatever I say, they want to go against it to show some kind of power. So, yeah, what Dana White is saying in terms of as soon as a fighter starts talking about retiring, they should retire. But also, what is a valid consideration is the reason why they're talking about retiring. Because if the reason is a physical reason or a reason where they just aren't at the level that they used to be at, or they're just not at a level that they're striving to reach, and they've come to terms with the fact that they're just not going to be that good, so they've decided to retire, that's a whole different kettle of fish. But when they're choosing to retire because financially or career-wise the UFC aren't in the same kind of same in line with their thought process, then there's a problem there that needs to be addressed. Now, I made a video a couple of weeks ago about John Jones basically not being happy with the UFC. I made a video this week about Jorge Masvidal not being happy with the UFC. We've literally got, like, there's been, like, another thing that Dana White was asked about during the post-fight press conference, and I believe it was Kevin Iole asked him. One of the things that was discussed was fighters not being happy with their pay, and Dana White was like, "Well, this happens all the time. This isn't our first rodeo," I think is what he said. Like he said that this happens all the time and they're used to it. Because Kevin Iole asked him why is it now that a lot of fighters are expressing the fact that they don't feel like they're earning as much money as they should. And I know Conor McGregor is slightly different because he's just not happy with the roadmap for his career for this year, it seems like. That was a very long-winded way of basically saying my next point. This is the first time I can remember where, if you really, I don't know what the numbers are behind all of this, but if I really think about it, the top 3 draws in the UFC at the moment, who are they? The top 3 guys commercially, the guys that bring in the most revenue. To me, I'd say Conor McGregor, obviously. John Jones is up there, if not he is one of the top 3. Jorge Masvidal is up there, if not he is one of the top 3. The only other guy that I can think of off the top of my head that brings in numbers is obviously Khabib and Nate Diaz. And Nate Diaz is just a law unto himself anyway. He's not part of this rat race that all of these guys are in. So I suppose the point I'm trying to make is, this is the first time that I can ever remember that such high profile, important, valuable assets to the UFC are all unified in their feelings towards the UFC, in their assessment that they're not earning the money that they should be earning, in their understanding of the moves that the UFC are making. Now, Dana White keeps going back to the fact that we're in a pandemic and the fact that, professional sport franchises in America don't want to go back and play because they're going to lose out on live gates, they're going to lose out on parking, they're going to lose out on concessions, etc., etc. And the fact that the organization themselves want to try and bring sports back as soon as possible. This is true for the Premier League in football, the English Premier League. So we're not going to have fans at events. All of the clubs are going to suffer because of this. A lot of clubs have managed to have their players agree on taking pay cuts. This is all factual information. But the problem here is that I can't talk for American football and stuff, but I know in the Premier League, in real life football, not pretend American football, the money the players earn makes up a massive percentage of the overall revenue a club earns. So there's a direct correlation between, all right, look, we're not bringing in X amount of revenue, so we physically might not be able to pay your wages. So it's in your best interest for this ship to keep sailing. You agree to take a slight pay cut. In the UFC, it's been well documented that they signed this deal with ESPN, however many years and however much money, but the fighters didn't receive a penny of that. Like, these guys are wising up to the fact that there's a lot of money on the table that they don't have access to. And these are high value fighters: Conor McGregor, Jorge Masvidal, and John Jones. Now, I kind of touched on this in my last video, so you can go back and watch what I said there. But I can't think of a better time that has been available to fighters to form this union, a conversation that has been going on for years, literally for years. There's been many failed attempts for unions, and this is the opportunity for that to happen. Whether it does, I'm very skeptical about, but I'm really interested to see how all of this unfolds, because like I said, I can't remember a time when the top stars in the UFC were all in agreement that they're not happy with what they're being paid or how they're being treated. And in any other walk of life, when you're not happy or you think you're being treated unfairly by your employer, it's time to go to the union. Do you know what I mean? But there isn't a union. Will they form a union? Probably not. But this seems like the best time. Anyway, let me know what you guys think. Put your comments below. Don't be scared to hit the like button. Share this with a friend. If you've enjoyed it, subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll catch you guys on the next one.